Hola, Miss Letha.
Hi, Dan.
How are
That was
you?
pretty fun listening to the scripts.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Morning.
Try to bring you guys some awesomeness. What's up, Mr. Brown? I saw Ms. Brown next to you.
How are you?
Oh, we're good. How are you?
Good.
Good, good, good. Brown and brown. I like it. I need to shave my head too. I know. Get in the shadow. Bald guy things.
You're more dedicated than I am. I always forget.
I have to because it bugs me so much. Like this is about as long as I ever tolerate.
Yeah.
So it's roughly every 3 days.
Tell my wife, this part meets this part. I'm gonna have to shave it. Shave it.
Oh, I bick it sometimes.
Yeah, that's my next step.
Well, what you do is you get yourself some balding clippers. They're the wall balding clippers, and they get super close. It almost looks like you're shaving, but it's a clipper, and it's been amazing. Save you a ton of time, makes life a lot easier. Like $60 for the good quality pair on Amazon, and then the blades you can exchange them out. I've had the same clippers now for like 4 years, and this will be my third set of blades.
Nice. Makes a huge difference when you remember to change it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a lot faster than a razor and cutting the shit out of yourself. So
Yeah. Then you gotta have the right head for it too, right?
oh yeah, I've always had short hair or no hair, so it was a natural progression just to be bald.
Yeah.
Bald and bearded. It's the new style.
Oh, when I finally got the beard back after customer service, I was like, I'm never shaving it off again.
Never.
Because you can wear it thanks to Jason Statham. That's right. He made it look good.
He made us okay. He made this a good look.
With so few people here, I'm going to lighten you. I about died laughing during that presentation at the partner meeting because I have a 14-year-old. You're fortunate that you have a little one. Mine is 14, and he is creating this earthquake effect by bouncing up and down in front of my desk, and I had to turn my camera off. Yeah, that's him, Jerry Michael, the group, Jerry Michael.
Yeah, my son just popped in real cute and left real quick. I don't know if we're gonna have very many people on today, just because it's typical Wednesday after all partners. We miss a lot of people, so doesn't matter. We got the right people. They can watch the recording. If you're watching the recording, you better do some of the actions you need to do. That being said, we're going to jump right into it. Guys, welcome to day 7 of Elementals. This is one of my favorite courses possibly, and it's the foundation of everything you're going to do, and that's negotiating. Ooh, the big scary word, negotiating. It's actually not that hard. You just have to ask good questions, find information, and make a decision for them. So we're going to go ahead and I got to find out. Claim host. Where's the host code for this? Host code. Okay. It's written on my desk in the office, but not here at home. Okay. You think I would know this thing by heart by now?
A lot of information.
Again, I don't remember anything I can look up. It's just how my brain works. I know where to find the information. I just wish I retained it better. There's too much shenanigans going on upstairs for me to remember these things. Advanced. Where's my settings? All right. Profile. Host key. Show. Copy, paste, claim host. I am now the host. Cool. I can share my screen finally. Yay! I know you guys were all excited about all that. So I don't need to introduce myself briefly as it says, but the expectations for today is we're going to learn a lot more about the fundamentals of negotiations and understanding how things go. As always, the things that we're talking about on a daily are the things that we need to work on every day in our real estate business. And what are those things?
Lead gen.
Where did the share go? You silly share. New share. There we go. All right. For growing our business is lead gen. Needs to be number one. First and foremost, number one. Lead generate for buyers and sellers. We're going to make sellers presentations, listing presentations, so that we can get more of those, and we're going to preview real estate. So again, the 10-10-10-2s as we talk about every day. In running our business, we're going to market seller listings, show buyer houses, negotiate contracts. So what we're going to talk about today is a big part of what we do in real estate is negotiation. We do transaction management to close, vendor management, setting goals, making sure we're in compliance and reducing our risk management, attending training and get coaching, and managing our money. Jay's actually going to go over the money thing tomorrow, which is great. And then on Friday, we do our contract to close timeline with me again, getting everything set up so you have the expectation of what's going to happen after you get under contract. But today's focus is breaking down the common points of negotiation. We're examining the 3 Ps approach to negotiation, analyzing counter tactics, doing a role play to employ the 3 Ps, recapping and create a success list, and go over our daily success habits. This is the section where you guys want to participate. This is how you're going to really benefit yourself. So consider, how can your ability to negotiate affect the outcome of a deal? Letha.
Well, if you don't have capability of negotiation, you get ran over, your client gets ran over, and that's not good for anybody. You want to get your client top dollar and be able to have a win-win on both sides of the fence. So the ability to negotiate is kind of the cornerstone of our business.
100%. Heather, welcome. I see you're on now. Ms. Desiree, what are some of the ways that you negotiate in your everyday life?
You mean with my husband or?
This is part of
with my kids, there's negotiations all the time if you really think about it. With my kids, I negotiate nonstop.
There you go. So, Stephen, what are your skills that great negotiate? What are the skills that great negotiators possess? The ability to unmute. Still muted.
There we go. I had to get my Bluetooth back on. Being able to read the situation, and I don't know, that's all I can really think about. I know in customer service, I did a lot of negotiating with the bills and stuff like that, but.
There you go. Now, I'll ask this openly Heather can answer this one. Why is asking questions important in negotiating?
So you have all the information and you might be able to figure out what's important and what wiggle room you have.
Right, absolutely. It's good that, after we invest the amount of time in moving a deal through the process, you don't want to wait for things to happen and the deal to fall through. Your ability to negotiate will directly influence the rate of the contracts you have to close. And asking good questions is going to allow you to find out the key information needed for your client to make a well-informed decision, for you to help your client navigate rough waters, terrain, give them the best deal, the best opportunity, and to make everything a win-win, right? Our number one Y4C2T up there is win-win or no deal. So thank you guys for that. We're going to brainstorm some negotiation issues. First and foremost, I'm going to put 2 on the board right away. What are they? Price and terms, right? 2 things that most people are worried about in any contract, any possession, is price and terms. I think there's a page in your workbook that you can fill out and have some other issue things on there. I don't have it in front of me. Someone please advise.
It's just blank. It just says write down some different issues.
So let's
Yeah,
go through some other issues. So let's take a couple of minutes and write down some issues that you may, think would come up in a transaction. Think about when they first start through the term of the entire deal. I mean, there's only 4 of us on the call, so let's just spitfire. Let's throw one out there. Letha, what do you got?
As far as price goes, you got a client that thinks that their house is worth more than it actually is. And you want to price it right so that it'll sell. And I think asking questions and finding their motivation to sell is very important at that point.
Okay. What else?
Um,
Go ahead, Steve.
What is it called? The benzers and stuff that either the buyer or the seller wants to get done. You may have to negotiate to make somebody happy to not want 30 things fixed and only want so many fixed and be able to be okay with it.
So that falls under terms, because most of our negotiating falls into one of those things, either price or terms. So I like it. So bids are activity, so repair requests. That's a good one. Write that one down. Let's get another one. What are you thinking? Negotiating points that either fall into price or terms. Let's start with price. What negotiating things fall into price?
I would think that somebody would even start off with your commissions, as
Okay.
a negotiating thing with you.
Commissions, absolutely. It's price driven. I've seen it on both buyer and seller sides, where people want commission reductions and people paid out. Something about price.
Who pays closing costs?
Bingo. Big one. Closing costs. Closing costs are a big one. Okay. One more.
When you're negotiating an offer for your buyer and your buyer doesn't have a lot of out of pocket, and trying to negotiate for the seller to give back for closing costs, getting concessions, seller concessions.
Closing cost concessions. There you go. So one thing we're missing is earnest money. So we've got the purchase price. So the terms that can be in there for on the price is purchase price, earnest money, commission, closing costs. Those are all going to fall in line with the things that we go. What conveys with the purchase price? So like the washer, dryer, refrigerator, spa, storage shed. The purchase price affects everything that conveys with the deal. So we want to look at how that purchase price affects the things that are part of the transaction. Now, in the term side of it, what are some of the things that could be a negotiating point in the terms category? Because sometimes we got a client, the seller's got multiple offers. They're all the same price. The terms are different. Which terms can be affecting the negotiating point?
How quickly?
Okay, close of escrows, like timeline, how quickly or how slowly. All right.
If you've got multiple offers and one of those offers is a cash offer compared to a VA or an FHA or even a USDA, you definitely, you want to go with the cash offer if they have proof of funds and
So one of the terms could be the lending type, the funding vehicle. Either it's a loan or it's cash. And then what type of loan? Absolutely. Other terms. If you're talking, you're muted.
Sorry, I was trying to think of already named benzers.
Yeah, that falls into terms, repair requests and stuff like that. Good point. Who pays for the appraisal? Right? Who the title company is going to be?
Who pays?
Is there going to be a home warranty?
Yeah.
Right. Any other additional terms like a pre-possession or a post-possession order, meaning they can move in before it's closed or after it's closed, the seller can stay a little bit later. These are all aspects of negotiating that we need to know how to navigate towards. So we're going to find out some tips on how to respond to the common points. So we're not really going to, it says to break off into some pairs, but we're going to do this together. Participants, please participate. So the list of negotiating tips I think they give you in your book is your first one there is your price, right? While the sales price is the primary factor in negotiations, it's not the end all. Right here, I'm just going to pull it up on my screen so you guys have the same thing. The bottom line of situations where a seller receives multiple offers of the price, it's the terms that in those offers, in addition to the financial position, that determine the outcome. So the terms are often maybe financial, time-based, or both, but they give the buyer and seller something to agree or disagree upon beyond the sales price. And those are closing costs, which we talked about, traditionally paid by the buyer, but closing costs are in addition to the purchase price, can be paid for by any buyer or seller and shared. Can the buyer pay the seller's closing costs?
Yes, if it's in the contract, right?
Yeah, if it's in the contract, absolutely. Would that be, it's a kind of a reverse negotiation on some things. We always hear about buyers asking for closing costs, but if you really want the house and it's a super hot market, the buyer could actually pay for the seller's closing costs. And we would just put that on page 8. The closing date, super important. What's important about the closing date?
But for the seller side, they want to get out from it as quick as possible.
Now, let me ask you, is it always as fast as possible?
No.
You know, what kind of situation could we be in where the seller doesn't want to sell it super fast? Maybe they need some extra time.
When they're
Either trying to get out of it or trying to purchase another one.
Trying to purchase another one. A common situation is they're building a custom home, or they're building another home that's not done yet. They need to get their house on the market and then delay closing.
A situation I ran into, my seller had a renter and his lease didn't expire until such and such date. And so, but he wanted to sell it, but his renter wouldn't be out until such and such date. So we extended close of escrow until 2 days after the renter was due to be out.
So I had the exact same thing happen to me. Actually, we closed December 3rd. First listed the house back in September, closed December. First under contract, and the buyer was buying with an FHA loan, and FHA mandates that you have to take occupancy within 60 days. Well, the lease wasn't out until February 1. Well, the end of January. So February 1 would have been their termination. So we had to close where 60 days lapsed the end of the lease. So super important on closing. It wasn't a fast close. We actually needed a long one, a 90-day. Sometimes even longer. So closing date's always important.
That's sure always, when it comes to the closing day and stuff like that, if it's longer, that's always just negotiated with the lender / the buyer and seller, correct?
All parties involved.
Okay, as long as all the parties agree, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days doesn't really matter as long as it's both parties agreeing, right?
Right. It's super important to talk, if you're the buyer's agent, to talk to the lender and find out what's a realistic timeline. I want you to write this down. USDA, no less than 45 days. So if you're a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, you get an offer that's a USDA loan, they cannot close within 45 days. It needs at least 45 days. I don't care what they write on the contract. I don't care what the agent's trying to sell you a 30-day close. It will not happen.
Real fast on that.
What's that?
I have a question. It's been bugging me. Where do we go to find the differences in the types of loans so I can get a good basic understanding of when my buyer's looking at loans, if they have this type of loan? I don't know how to steer them away from certain houses.
So we'll have a mortgage 101 class coming up that you'll be learning all that, but definitely good information to know. So that's the timelines as well as the loan type. When we talk in the first line there is the situation is, let's stop the share so we can talk to each other. The situation is that when there's a certain loan type, they need certain timeframes, and understanding the seller and buyer needs is how we navigate those naturally. So.
Another negotiation that it only came up for me once, and I hope it doesn't come up very often. I had a seller that had a renter that was selling his home, but the renter's lease was, so you buy a home that has a renter in it, you inherit the renter, and
Yep.
you are bound to the terms of their lease. So this renter's lease wasn't up for 6 months, and the buyer was actually, I was handling both sides of it. So I don't know if that made it easier or harder, but the buyer was willing to not only give him the 6 months to the end of the lease, he was an investor. So he was willing to renew his lease after the 6 months, but then you're also negotiating all the security deposits getting transferred over to the buyer and all that good stuff. So then the buyer's responsible for returning the renter's security deposit at the time he moves out.
Yep. It
That was
transfers, it becomes a headache for sure.
It was a headache.
Tenant, like, so, a different topic completely, but tenants' rights oversee the seller's rights.
Yes,
If there's a lease in it, the seller can sell the house whenever they want. The tenant doesn't have to go anywhere.
that's right.
Doesn't have to do anything. The new buyer cannot kick them out, change anything. It's 100% like good to go.
Yep.
So
And
beyond,
I learned a lot.
yeah, the conveyances, we talk about the conveyances, what transfers with the deal. Conveyances in your book, it's outlined is, things such as the fixtures that are attached to the home that are non-real estate items, like the refrigerator, washer, dryer, maybe a hot tub, storage shed, a really unique painting or artwork that accentuates a space, custom shelves that are just sitting there but not attached. These are all things that if you're walking a property and it has some of these items, you need to identify that with your sellers that, hey, do you want this to go? Do you not want it to go? You want this to stay? Well, let's get rid of it before a buyer comes in and wants it. Or we can move that same line on the buyer side and say, hey, if you want it, we need to ask for it in the contract. It needs to be written out in the contract. Never assume it stays. Method of fixture, right? What does that mean?
One thing that I learned from Jim Hogan, I like the way he put it, and I always explain it to my buyers. If it's real property compared to personal property, it's like a tree. A tree is real property, but you cut down that tree and turn it into lumber. Now it's personal property, but you take that lumber and you build an addition onto the home, it is again real property.
Method of a fixture. Is it attached?
And will it damage if you take it out, right?
Right. Is it attached? That simple. Method of a fixture means, is it attached? Let me ask you, why does the stove stay, but the refrigerator goes?
Something about a valve in the bottom of it.
Valve.
The anti-tip.
Anti-tip bracket. Again, you have to realize, even if it's not installed, it's supposed to be. It's method of a fixture. The refrigerator, even though it's installed with the water line, that's just a connection. It's hooked up. It doesn't damage or cause permanent marring. That's like a TV that's mounted. The TV goes, the mount stays, because removing the mount would cause damage, right? So how it's installed, is it staying? So good question. Now let's look over in our books here. We have the negotiating tips. Stephen, what's the number one negotiating tip?
Be professional.
Always, always, always be professional. You are going to work with some people that are just flat out jerks. And I have had my fair share of clients and other agents that were just hard to deal with. So always be professional. Heather, number 2.
Remember your goal, a signed contract. This is what you're driving toward, and it's what both agents and their clients have in mind.
Absolutely. Joseph, Joey, number 3, please. Do you have your book?
I could pull it up. I mean, do I just read off the screen?
Read off screen. I've got it up there for you guys can see it too.
Control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. If you create anxiety in your client or other parties, you're reducing their ability in reducing their leverage in negotiations.
100%. Letha, number 4.
Continually refer to motivation. Remind your client why they want to buy or sell and help them reevaluate their request if they are becoming unreasonable.
Underline that last part. Reevaluate their request if they're becoming unreasonable. That is huge. Desiree, number 5.
Don't reveal too much. Listen more than talk. Keep your client's motivation close to your chest.
Don't talk too much. Listen more than you talk. You will find the golden nuggets revealed to you. And Steve, lastly, number 6.
Don't be attached to the outcome. You can get everything you and your clients want all the time. Don't let it affect your mindset. If a deal doesn't go through or if your client doesn't act on your recommendations, find a different way to win your client.
100%. And that's the biggest thing that I could push on this entire class. Numbers, do not be attached to the outcome. Because things are going to happen. You're going to find some follies. Things are going to fall through. There's going to be a ton of opportunities, and things are going to go south. Things are not going to work out. They're gonna catch on fire. You have to put them out, and you're going to be so frustrated. I'm going to lose this commission. I'm going to lose this sale. I'm going to lose this house. I'm going to lose this client. They're going to be pissed off at me. Because you're reaching to the outcome. You're attached to the outcome. We have to be fluid. Sometimes things happen. And going back to number 3, as Joseph read, is control what you say to the people involved. The second most important factor is how we present the information and how we project our own energy is how the clients and negotiating partners are going to respond. If I call you up frantic, like, oh my God, they're not going to close until Thursday. Oh my God, this delay is going to suck. How do you think the client's going to respond?
My husband calls that end of the world stuff. Don't act like it's end of the world.
There are no emergencies in real estate. None. Even if a water line breaks inside the house, plan of actions, get it turned off. Then fix the damage. Isolate and move on. If we communicate with sincerity and we communicate with confidence, and we communicate with the candor, like we know what the hell to do, they're there, right? You ever heard of the captain of a plane? Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing some turbulence here. You're going to see some bumps and some jars and some ups and downs, and it calms people down. He's not frantic, or she's not frantic. Oh my God, we're going to see some turbulence. It's going to be real rough, guys. Just hang on. We'll get through it. No, it's been through this before. We're going to go through it again. Don't worry. I'll get you through the end, right? There's the confidence in there. We need to deliver that same confidence to our clients. So, now doing so, we're going to figure out the best skill possible and perfect with experience, and that is with the 3 Ps approach. Turn to page 8, your participation guide, which is going to be this page right here. So the 3 Ps approach. The 3 Ps are, first, we prepare. Presentation is key to building confidence, ensuring a smooth negotiating process. Again, going back to that, the confidence in your delivery. Presenting, moving into negotiation process by presenting your offer, presenting your change, presenting your position, and then positioning yourself as moving both parties close into a full agreement. And that sometimes needs to be leverage on both sides. You need to move a little bit, give a little bit, take a little bit, just to move things closer. So knowing your goal is ideal. And that's what we're going to talk about here is know your goal. Have a clear goal of reaching a win-win agreement in both the buyer and the seller so that the outcome is satisfactory. Remind your client of their motivations, especially if they're becoming unrealistic. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, you want to sell this house? Quit fighting us on the appraisal, or quit fighting us on the inspections, or quit fighting us on the repairs. This is simple stuff, right? Don't let somebody lose hundreds of thousands of dollars of a transaction over 15 bucks. I'm not replacing that light switch. They can piss off. Okay, well, are you willing to let the deal go over $15? So remind them of their motivations. So are you willing to give up living closer to your grandchildren over $15? Which one has a more impactful message? Some people are willing to let the deal go. Fuck, I don't care. Let the deal go. I don't care. We'll get another buyer. But if you put it, are you willing to not live close to your grandparents or your grandmother or your mother for that much longer if you say no? Are you willing to give up on your dreams to say no? So know your client. Then make sure you fully understand your client's goals. If you do not understand their motivations at a core, you cannot anchor back to them in a high level. Learn the areas in which they're willing to negotiate and where they will stand firm. Some people will not budge on sales price, but will give the farm away on repairs. Some people don't give a crap about the sales price, but won't do a damn thing. You got to understand what you're dealing with. Some buyers don't give a crap how much they pay as long as it's perfect. Some buyers need to buy it at a certain price and don't care what the house looks like. These are things, if we understand their motivation and we understand the type of client we're dealing with, we can navigate the negotiation so much better. Because if I can pair somebody that is willing to negotiate on sales price, that is not going to do sales, that's not going to do any repairs, with a buyer that needs to buy it at a certain sales price that doesn't care about repairs, then we have consummation. Think ahead. Anticipate what the other party wants out of the negotiation. Write down what you think they may counter on the offer and how you plan to handle it. What's a good way for you to gauge what the other party is thinking?
Talk to the agent maybe.
Call the other agent, pick up the phone. Hey, Desiree, Big Dan Caldwell here. We're getting ready to submit an offer on your property at 123 Main Street. I wanted to ask, what deals are you guys currently negotiating? Then you could say something, great. What's the highest offer? Oh, I know you can't tell me that, but if you did, and my client was able to beat that, wouldn't that be able to help your client out even more? Sometimes I'll get some answers there. But I always ask, what's important to your seller? Well, they need a quick close or they need a long close. They're looking for the top dollar in sales price. They're looking to just sell it and not have to do anything, no repairs. If you find this information out and you can understand how it's going to go, you can kind of gauge your side of things and how it's going to work, buyer or seller.
It sounds like it's always a good habit, like if you're on the buyer side, to always call the seller and ask, or just talk to the seller, because I know people mentioned that agents don't even like call or talk to them. It sounds like it would be common sense, right, to call and ask questions, introduce yourself before you write the offer, right?
100%. That is the earmark of professional agents, is when they're willing to pick up the phone and make a connection with another agent. And it's as simple as saying, hey, we're submitting an offer on your property. I want to know if you have some desires. What would you, I love this line. Write this down. If you were me, what would you put in the offer? It gets people to start talking. If you were me, what would you put in the offer? And then if it aligns with your buyer's goal, great. We don't always have to negotiate a discount. We don't have to win by getting I got him $5,000 off. Ooh, I'm a great negotiator. No, sometimes great negotiating is just getting the deal done. Nobody wins if nobody gets paid. The buyers get paid with a new set of keys. The seller gets paid with the releasing of that property and probably some proceeds, and you and the other agent get paid when everything gets done. Nobody wins until somebody gets paid. So negotiation could be just as simple as, I got it for list price, we closed in 30 days, everybody's happy. I guarantee there was some negotiation along the line. So set clear expectations. Prior to meeting with the other party, set clear and realistic expectations with your clients. Hey, I know you guys want to offer $200,000 on this house. It's listed at $225,000. The market right now is dictating that that is unrealistic. We're getting 99.8% of list price right now. So if you're comfortable, throwing a low offer in and not winning, so am I. Let them know what's going to happen. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I understand that you're not willing to do any repairs. Let me ask you, are you willing to give up the goals that you have set forth on the sale of this house by not agreeing to do this $30 or this $50 or this $200 repair? Set the expectations. So part of setting the expectation is with your client is being clear to the win-lose agreements that are likely being rejected. Win-lose meaning one party wins, one party loses, and set yourself up to make win-win. Hey, we're not willing to do the repairs on everything. We are willing to do this and this. That's a win-win. It's not all or nothing situations. So be informed. Now, before making an offer or a counter offer, it's good practice to speak with other agents. I would say that needs to be your business practice for everything. Ask open-ended questions. Allow the other agent to talk, and active listening. Again, listen more than you talk so that you can get more information that you can utilize in the positioning of your negotiating. So preparing is important for you to understand where you're at. I always go back to this analogy. It's one of my favorites. Have you taken a road trip anywhere? Right? Or hell, have you driven to work in the morning? What do you do before you go to work? Yeah, shit, shower, and shave, right?
Put the face on.
You make sure your makeup looks good. You make sure you got your purse, you got your keys, you got your phone, you got your briefcase. You prepare for the journey. The journey may be as trivial as just driving to work, but every day you prepare. Let me ask you, have you ever forgotten something? How does it make you feel?
Flustered.
Frantic, flustered, irritated. The day is ruined. Right? Forgot my cell phone. I got to go back to the house. I'm going to be late. And it ruins the rest of the transaction, the rest of the day, the rest of the travel to work. You're pissed off. You're driving fast. What's that?
I said it deflates your enthusiasm.
Same thing with negotiation. It deflates your potential if you're not prepared. If you don't take time to prepare for the journey, you will not get there in the same manner you could have. So be informed. Obey the laws. Of course, every state's got their own laws. Arizona's no different. Be ethical, be moral. Just do it right. And then last but not least, definitely not least, is know the documents inside and out. I think I said that a couple days ago, maybe a week and a half when I first gave you guys access to the documents. What did I say to do?
Go through them and practice them and read them.
Practice them, read them, know where they're at, know what they are. I could sit down with you for 5 hours and go over every document and what it is, but it will not retain in your brain nearly as much as you jumping on your computer, going into DocLoop or DocuSign. I prefer DocuSign because that's the program you want to be using. Look at the forms, read them, understand them, practice them. Stephen came by the office and grabbed a buyer and a seller book so he understood the documents that are involved in that. It's the best way to know what you're doing is to know what you're doing. Take the time to study. Take the time to do homework. We don't cover everything in this course because it doesn't doesn't build the competencies. We give you homework to go do it to fortify for the next class. Because I'll be honest, you guys are engaged, but most of the time people just turn their camera off and walk off in the other room and they miss a key point and come back and they're lost for the rest of the day. And those that are watching the video, watch it for a couple minutes and then get off the call or get off the video because something else came up. You have to be able to take this into your own hands, practice, be informed, know the documents, know the process, know what's going to happen. And that's how you prepare and learn what you're going to be doing for negotiations. Next, we have some open-ended questions that are really good, for asking and gaining information for a win-win negotiation. What are they? What additional information should I know? You know, what's important to your client? What's important about closing in 30 days? All right. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, how do you feel about that? You can find, do you have any other offers? You know, what's the bottom line price you would consider? You can ask that. You know, what's the bottom line price your seller would consider? Right now it's a seller's market, so they're probably not going to reduce much, but you ask?
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Seller's agent, you know, what offers are you currently negotiating? Not do you have any offers? We don't want to ask closed-ended question, yes or no, open-ended. What offers you guys currently negotiating? Okay, what's the highest price? Oh, you know, I can't tell you that. You can, because if my client can bring a better price, wouldn't that be helping your seller out? Notice how I say it with a smile. It's all in how you deliver. So what would happen if it helps you anticipate the next steps in negotiation? I love this question when you're doing bins or stuff. Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, what would happen if they say no to any of the repairs? Mr. or Mrs. Seller, what would happen if they wanted to cancel because you wouldn't do this one repair? Or on a listing, hey, we want to price it real high. It's above market. Okay. What would happen if we don't get an offer in the first 10 days? What would happen if we get an offer and it doesn't appraise? Are we not future pacing and understanding the anticipation, preparing ourselves for the journey, right? Preparing for what could be. You know, the question, why is that important to you? I like to change because you guys know how I like to ask what's important about that. Brings a lot more insight. What's important to you about that? What's important about this? What's important to get to the root. So understanding the core is going to be one of the best things. So, oh, come on, screen. Go to the next one. No. Now we're going to go into our preparing. We're going to do so. Turn to page 9. It's in this one here, page 9. Scenario: you are representing a single buyer. Your client is renting her property, your present property. Like any first-time buyer, she's looking for you to guide her through the process. The asking price of the home she really loves is $175,000. The house appears to have evidence of a roof leak, is listed as is, and it is currently correctly priced. Your client would like to keep her payment as low as possible since she still has a number of student loan debts to pay off. She wants to write an offer for $155,000, and there has been quite a bit of activity on the listing. So what questions do we need to ask the client to clarify?
Would you be willing to make that offer and still not get the property that you love?
Okay. Knowing the market, are you willing to offer a price that may not win? Okay. What other clarifying questions? How about this? What makes this property your favorite?
Right.
Right? Simple stuff. What is it about this home you love?
What's your commute to work going to look like?
Right, these are things like, you know.
Yeah.
Is it affordable for you to pay $155,000 and do the roof repair yourself? You know, what is the possibility of paying for the repairs if we stay at the asking price? Right? I love this one. Ooh, I love this one. Let me ask you, if we get beat by $5,000 or $10,000, are you going to be upset? I have moved people 25, 30 grand by that statement alone. Miss Desiree, let me ask you, you're offering 200,000 on this house. And if we get beat by $5,000 or $10,000, are you going to be upset? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What are you willing to go to?
We had that situation. There was 5,000 to buy this house with that negative real estate agent. I got upset and flat out told my realtor, because I did not like the lady. She had, anyways, that I would not come up with the 5,000. But in the background with me and Desi, we had to actually sit back, and all day long, the only thing I could think of is I looked at her. I was like, "There's no other houses we want. Are we really going to not throw in that 5,000 to actually walk away? We've already seen all these houses, and without telling her that, they ended up fixing the deal. But we literally had to, between each other, had to come up with the fact that even though I didn't want to, I would have put in that other 5,000 because I wanted this house instead of a different house.
That's huge. I mean, if you don't have the relationship with your agent, they don't feel confident in your abilities. If they don't feel like you are supporting them the best of your nature, then even if you ask these questions, it may not work. So again, going back to the prepare side is knowing your clients, having a relationship, and showing your value, which comes from many of the classes before. Know your value proposition, deliver your excellence, stuff like that, where this conversation actually came from. But being able to ask that, are you willing to let this house go over blank? How would you feel? Like if you guys were on the scripting call, you heard Jason say, how would that make you feel? How would this make you feel? Like, how would you feel if you lost the house over $5,000? So some big tickets there. Allow time for the questions to sink in. Ask what I say, ask a question and do what?
Let it sit.
Shut up and listen.
Well, she didn't even ask me the question. She just flat out called me. You can tell they didn't have the same training because she just flat out called me and said, well, there's 5,000 that he's short that we're going to have to throw in. And that, because of the way she phrased it, she didn't even ask me about that. She just told me this is the way it was. And so in turn, it set me off on a negative path.
Exactly. She did not prepare it correctly. And that's sad. So any ahas from this scenario?
I just like the way you form your questions.
It's all practice. It's understanding how to ask questions in a better manner. So asking what makes this house your favorite? Do you have the resources to repair the roof yourself if we ask a lower price? What do you need out of this transaction? What if the seller counters with a full price offer to fix the roof? Or counters with no repairs at all? What happens when, right? Having that understanding of what could be, and then tell them, I'm gonna push for the best possible scenario for you. I want to understand what could happen, and I want you to be informed on what could happen, so that you and I have a game plan. I like to be 4, 5, 6, 10 steps ahead. I don't like to just be reactive to what I get. What happens when it doesn't appraise? What happens when we don't get an offer? What happens if they ask for a ton of repairs? I've already talked to you about a bunch of the things in the house that need to be worked on. What happens if a buyer calls those out? So, great questions to be had. So, now we're going to learn a little bit. There we go. So, pay attention to verbal and nonverbal cues. What are nonverbal cues?
Body language, motion tics.
Letha just gave us one. Nonverbal cues could just be tone. It could be delayed response. If I ask you a question, you fire right back with an answer. I know you're paying attention, but if I ask you a question, you take a couple of seconds to answer it, but you answer it heartfully, maybe you internalized it. Maybe that question sank home a little bit. Are you willing to let this house go over 5,000? Absolutely not. So you've already been prepared for it. Okay, how much are you willing to go to? 220. Okay, at 220, if you get beat by $5,000 or $10,000, you going to be upset? Yeah. Okay. Well, what are you willing to go to? Notice how it's a slower answer. Well, I mean, Jason and I talked, and we don't want to go over 225. Fantastic. So if we get beat by 230, you're okay with it? Yeah. Good. Why don't we put our offer at 225? Give our offer the best chance of winning. So keep quiet once you present your offer. And that's even like the negotiation to them. Why don't we make our offer 225? And then I stop, right? And then I get their agreement. Same thing with presenting an offer. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we'd like to present you the offer of the house. We're going to get you all this, blah, 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 blah. Here you go. and silently wait. There is power in silence. Would you guys believe that I've never had a moment of awkward silence in my life? Good. You'd be crazy to think otherwise. Because I have. I've had a ton of awkward silence, but I've become comfortable in that uncomfortable silence. Because I know if I ask a question and I create that weird negative space, that I will get some agreement or I'll get some objection. Either way, I'm moving forward instead of answering the question for them. So pay attention to verbal and nonverbal cues. Keep quiet once you present an offer and listen carefully to what's important to the other party. Again, listening. Stay calm and relaxed. Notice every time I go into a script how my body changes, my tone slows. And do you feel that essence of comfort? You're like, this guy knows what the hell he's talking about. You know, it's all written down. I trust it. It's not me. It's written down. It's just, it even says on my notes, slow down. I'm kidding. It doesn't. But being the calm and relaxed exudes confidence. Think about that airline pilot, right? I have never in my life heard a frantic airline pilot. Have you?
Those that have are probably dead.
Right. Great point. Dark, but great point.
Because if that pilot's frantic, you're in real trouble.
Right. I love that. And focus on the customer's needs. Focus on the needs, not your desire to sell the house, not your desire to get paid, not your family's desire to spend the money on whatever. It's the needs of the person you're helping. And then last but not least, give your offer the best chance. I say that often. Give your offer the best chance of survival. And that's how you're going to get there. So, any ahas before we move on? So, in your participation guides, they're right there on page 10. So, more great information for you. Now we're going to move into positioning our offer. So, how we position our offers, we have to ask what and how questions. You know, buyer wants to close in 60 days, seller wants to close in 30 days. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you're requesting a 30-day close. What is important about closing in 30 days? Right? Why is it, what is it about blank that's important? What is it about this that makes it fine? So if your client becomes defensive, you would explain, my goal is to let, the buyer know what's important to you. So if you're talking to their agent, like, hey, listen, it's a 60-day close. If you guys can do it, great. If you can't, it's okay. We'll walk away. I was like, no, it's not like that. My goal is to let the buyer know what's important to your seller so that I can help us get a win-win scenario. Work together. I can assure you, you're going to have some agents out there that don't want to work together. They want to work against you. They want to win. They want to beat you. Yeah, I beat Big Dan. Yeah, I negotiated him into a tough point. I got him to take $5,000 off that deal. I win. Okay. No, we didn't win. You beat me up. It's a win-lose. The win-win is you and I negotiated on a sales price. I got my seller to agree. You got your buyer to agree. We delivered keys successfully. There's the win-win. I negotiated $5,000 repairs for my seller, and then the buyer canceled the deal. I'm a great negotiator. No, you're not. Because it didn't close. Nobody won. You both lose. So understanding what's important to the other party will help you prioritize what you put in your offer, period. Go away, sign thing. There we go. So what and how questions are a lot more powerful. So we do a presentation here. It's the, stop here. We do what they call the energy triangle. It's not in your workbooks at all, so I'm going to share this with you. So it used to have shapes. Maybe not. We're just going to do this. All right, everyone, draw on your workbooks, if you haven't already, a triangle. Hopefully it's a lot neater and cleaner than mine. And then break your triangle into 3 sections. So when we talk about energy of questions. Different questions are going to respond different ways. On the outside of your triangle, I want you to write the word why. And here's what we're doing. You guys listen to me? Why were you late? How did you feel?
Defensive.
Defensive, instantly, right?
Mhm.
That is why goes outside the energy triangle, because why removes energy. Next, we have what. What questions? What made you late?
Was it
What kept
hassle?
you from being on time?
It encourages you to explain yourself.
That's encouraging. It transfers a little bit of trust. There's a little bit of energy. That's why it's the bottom of the energy period.
It says it's not your fault. Whose fault was it? You know, kind of, yeah.
How questions are next. How come you're late? How can you make sure you're here on time? How can I help you? Right? More energy, more like it's an easier question to answer. You get more excitement out of it. And lastly, the most energetic question of all, who? Who questions? Who made you late?
Not somebody else's fault. It's a lot easier.
But even then, let's go on a positive. Who needs to be involved in the transaction? Who benefits when you sell the home? So let's do those same questions. Why are you selling your house? Defensive, right? What's making you sell your house? How has your life changed to make you want to sell your house? Who is making you sell your house? Who benefits when you sell your house? So remember these questions, because if you're asking good questions, you're going to excite energy. The more energy you excite, the more response you get, the more rapport you can build, and the tougher questions you can answer. Sometimes you're going to have to ask why questions. I don't want you to ask why questions as often as you possibly can. Try to reframe a why question into a what or a how question. Why do you want to go to the movies? How can we reframe that?
What movie do you want to see?
There you go. Assumptive. What movie do you want to see? What makes you want to go to the movies today? You know? How come you want to go to the movies? How can we go to the movies? We have no time. Selling and buying a house. These are all so super important to understand the energy triangle so you can ask better questions. So we'll stop that share and go back into this greatness. So understanding the motivation and the needs is really going to help you guys master what you're going to be doing. So read the instructions on page 11. This is page 11, right? Page 12. So page 12 takes us here. So we have a scenario. The scenario is a property has 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, and listed at $350,000 in a well-established neighborhood. The house requires new carpeting throughout the first floor and a new garage door opener. 3 offers have been made, but all 3 were below asking price. Buyer's agent. I want you guys to read this as both sides. As a buyer's agent, your buyers are making an offer at $340,000 for the house. They have been pre-approved. The buyers would like to close in the shortest time possible since they are moving from out of state and need a home for their family. Since they are leaving their appliances in their current home, the buyers would also like all the appliances to be included. Listing agent. Your sellers have raised their family in the house and are selling and have many friends and family in the area. Since their children are now grown, they no longer need the amount of space that their current home provides and would be furnished and have purchased a home in Florida. They would like to give all their appliances to their daughter who has just gone through a divorce. They will not be moving until they have sold their current house, and although they would like to get to Florida as fast as possible, they are ready to stand their ground regarding the price. You guys understand the scenario?
Yeah.
So I want you guys to be going back and forth in a win-win agreement. Who wants to be the buyer's agent against me as the seller's agent?
I will.
All right, Stephen, go ahead and present your offer.
Well, I didn't know you're going to actually make me talk.
You're muted again.
No, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I was trying to think of something to say.
Here about this. You be the seller's agent. I'll go first round with you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Stevens, Big Dan Culver at Keller in Southern Arizona. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. We just got done checking out your property at 123 Main Street. That's a beautiful home, my friend. And
Well,
gotta ask you, did you guys know that the garage door opener wasn't working?
yeah, we did.
Okay, great. And has your seller mentioned anything about the carpets? We saw quite a bit of staining.
Yeah, we know. We noticed about it. Or my client knows about it.
What offers are you guys currently negotiating?
We've had a few, but none of them have come to the asking price that my sellers want, and
Yeah.
they're willing to stand their ground on the price so far.
Understand. What's the highest price you've gotten so far?
Can't tell you that.
Oh, I know you can, Stephen. Well, if I were able to bring you a higher value that your sellers might say yes to, would that be helping your seller out?
That would.
Okay, so if you were me, how would you write this offer?
I don't know how to answer that one.
So what you can say is you can go back and say, hey, list price is a good offer. The good response, and here's a good tactical response. If you were me, how would you write the offer? Hey, Dan, I appreciate you asking that. I would just make sure your buyers give my client a real good reason to say yes.
Nice.
It's tactful. So I can say, well, hey, Stephen, let me go over some information here. We are willing to offer $340,000 sales price to the house. My clients do need the appliances since they are moving from out of town. They don't have any. Is that something that we can work out in our deal?
Knowing for my clients, probably not. They're trying to give their appliances to their daughter who's going through a divorce. So am I allowed to tell them that type of stuff?
Not really the divorce thing, but you can say they're planning on giving the appliances to their daughter in need.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, what's important on the timeline?
They want to get out quick as possible. They're moving. I'm allowed to tell them that type of stuff too, though, right?
It could put you in a negotiating point. It's weakened. They need to move as quick as possible. You say they want to move as soon as they can. They don't have to.
Okay.
So what's important about the timeline? Go ahead and say that, Steve.
They need to get out. They have to sell this house before they can to move on to their next step. So they do want it as soon as possible, but they are willing to stand their ground on the price.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it works. Break script for a second. I stay away from words have to, must, need to, because as a shark, I hear have to, and I'm like, oh, okay. You have to sell the house. Got it.
Okay.
Now I got some leverage. Well, hey, they want to get the house sold. They'd like to be in Florida as soon as possible. They don't need to move right away, and they're pretty firm on their price. Notice how I said it, where it wasn't very adversarial, where I'm not positioning against the other person.
Yeah.
I'm having a conversation that lets you know that, hey, you're going to have to bring it or don't bring it at all.
Okay.
So now with the appliances, if you're asking for appliances, hey, Dan, I completely understand your clients need appliances. If it were me, I would talk to my buyers and see if they're willing to increase the sales price to motivate the sellers to leave the appliances.
That's pretty good.
So again, if it were me, I would talk to my clients and see if they can increase their offer to motivate the sellers to leave the appliances.
All right.
So it's an extremely tactful way of handling deals like that. So I appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone and learning. That's how you're going to develop.
Yeah, because it seems almost counterintuitive, because I know I need to make more of the script classes too. I plan on it. As the listing agent, you want to stand your ground for your people, but at the same time, like you did, how you switched it on me, I needed to not give the haves and all the direct confrontation, but at the same time still be there for my agent, but still trying to help the buyer get to my agent, I guess, right?
Right. So
Okay.
I'll be the listing agent. Someone else be a buyer's agent. Present that same thing to me.
I'll do it.
All right, Miss Letha.
Hi, Dan. I've got a buyer for that house that you have listed at yada yada address. I mean, I've noticed when we were doing the walkthrough that the garage door is busted and there was some staining in the carpet, but other than that, they love the house. And knowing that it would be a little pricey to get that garage door fixed, they're not willing to come up with the full value. We're looking at $340,000. Do you think your sellers would agree to that?
You know, we've gotten a lot of activity on it lately, Letha, and they're pretty firm on their price.
Another thing that I noticed, they was saying that the appliances didn't come with it. Well, my buyers are moving in from out of town. Is there some negotiation, some wiggle room on the appliances? It would really benefit them if they had those appliances included.
Well, there might be. It all depends on the purchase price. I'll tell you that I do have a plan for those appliances already. So, I mean, if I were you, I would talk to your buyers and see how they can, sweeten the deal to motivate my sellers to leave them.
Okay, well, I'll discuss it with my buyers and see if maybe we can sweeten the deal a little bit. What about closing costs? If we gave them the full $350,000, do you think they would be willing to do some seller concessions?
It all comes down to the total of the offer. Send it over and I'd gladly review it with them.
All right, I'll absolutely do that. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Letha.
Mhm.
Now, did you feel like I was adversarial?
No.
But you got kind of like, he's not going to give me any information.
Right, you're not giving me anything, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, you were like conflictive, but you were firm for your sellers.
And I don't even need to go over the divorce, the daughter, Florida, or anything if it doesn't come up.
Right.
You kept it all business.
It's all
Yeah.
business, and it's simple conversation. I had a call yesterday. This is true to life story. A guy named Amos called me on one of my listings that he has put in 3 different offers on. His client put in an offer and then revised the offer and then revised it a third time, second revision, so that because he knows that he's not at the top of the list. He knows he has a weak offer compared to the others I've got, and then he keeps asking. He's all, can you tell me if I'm in the ballpark? Can you tell me if I'm in the ballpark? Tell me if I'm in the ballpark. And I keep telling him, I was like, dude, I can't tell. He even said, I know you can't tell me, but can you tell me I'm in the ballpark? I was like, almost. You're giving a great offer. You're supporting your client as best you can. And their offer is very competitive to the rest that I have. Well, can you tell me if 365 gets us the deal? I can tell you it's very competitive, and I will gladly share it with my clients, and they can make their decision. Well, do I need to go up more? I mean, 5, 10, 15,000. I was like, give your deal the best chance to win. Because he got frustrated with me because he couldn't get anywhere. I even told him, I was like, you're really good at what you do, man. I appreciate you asking. Give your deal the best chance of winning.
You're kind of like a brick wall. Just kind of hitting your head up against a brick wall.
What it is I'm not going to give anything away to my client that would put my client in material problem. And that's our goal as agents, is to be the fiduciaries, protect our clients. If we don't stand firm on some things, and we need to know the information so that we don't share it inadvertently. Dan, this is my grandmother's refrigerator. It is not staying with the house. I don't care if they pay me $1 million for it. Great. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, thank you so much for your offer. I noticed you guys have selected you'd like us to keep the refrigerator there. I can tell you that might be a breaking point of the contract. right? Now I've definitely set some doubt in your mind. You're like, ooh, is your client willing to let the deal go over a refrigerator? Maybe, maybe not. Mine sure is.
Yeah.
It's not always monetary. So
You can always go to rent to own after you've recorded.
right.
You have to wait till after you record.
Well, now we kind of got a good handle on how we can get some information on presenting offers, right? And I kind of showed you a little bit about the next part, which is counter tactics, where they're going to ask and they're going to go fishing for information. Hey, what's important to your seller? What needs to happen? What's the timeline looking like? Do they need to sell their house before they move? Are they in a hurry? Is it urgent? What's causing them to want to sell the house? All this information, we got to know how to handle the opposite side of it, which is what they call counter tactics. So understanding some counter tactics, we're going to go over, what is it, page 13? Well, three tactics they top out is nibbling, hot potato, and good guy, bad guy. So with that, the counter tactic is nibbling. Is once your client has agreed upon a major concession, the other party will start nibbling for additional smaller ones. What's the scenario of that? Letha just did it. Hey, if we give you the full price, are they willing to give some concessions? What was the counter tactic I used?
Put the best offer you can for your clients.
Right. I stonewalled her. I didn't give her any grace. Yeah, you know what? I would gladly present it. Just give your offer the best chance of winning. A hot potato. The other party tries to pass a problem on you. For example, the co-agent tries to pass all closing costs to your client because their client can't afford them. Okay. Your client can't afford them. Why are they buying a house?
See, I was asking for concessions because now we're having to buy appliances.
Right. So your counter tactics are always ask concessions in return for before agreeing. This is your hot potato. So ask for concessions in return for agreeing to further concessions. Great. Hey, if we're willing to give you guys a couple $1,000s in closing costs, are they willing to pay for more on the sales price? Hey, if they need $6,000 in closing costs, are they willing to add $6,000 to the sales price? If they need the $6,000 in closing costs, are they willing to not get the washer and dryer? If they're willing for $6,000 in closing costs, are they accepting the house as is with no repairs? Right. Other side of that, hey, if we're going to accept the house with no repairs, is your client willing to pay $1,000 towards closing costs? Right. So you always want to test the validity of it, find out if the problem is real. And I do mean real because a lot of agents out there will ask for closing costs at 3%. I see you guys mark 3% on the offer. Do you need 3%? Call the loan officer. Hey, they got a contract I'm trying to negotiate for one of your clients. It's marked here for 3%. Do they need $9,000 in closing costs? No, we can get away with probably $5,500. Okay, great. I might be able to make that work. Now you just saved your client $3,500 by asking questions.
Will a lender do that?
Some of them. Or you put it back on the buyer page. It's gray zone.
Gray zone.
So I put it back on the buyer's agent too. Said, hey, this is the situation. Do you guys need $9,000 in closing costs? Why don't we talk to the lender and find out exactly what we need? We might be able to put this deal together. So backing things off. So find out the problem is real, and then has the other party exhausted every other possible solution? Well, we need $4,000 in closing costs to move forward. Okay, we willing to pay $4,000 more for the house. Well, they can't qualify for that. Okay, great. Can they get a loan? Can they have a friend or family member give them the money to close? Right? Are they willing to let go of the refrigerator that my client's buying for them, or the repair weight, anything like that? So tons of those things are available to them. So, and then last is the good guy, bad guy. Call them on their game. If it continues, then, attribute the bad guy says to good guy. Since it's a tag team anyways, likely it will diffuse the tactic because you now have two bad guys. That's kind of a difficult concept, but when your bad guy is two people working together, a husband and wife, I call them third basemen sometimes, will take on opposite roles where the husband's good and the wife's not. One appears friendly and considerate while the other behaves more aggressive. You ever had that?
Yeah.
Desiree was the nice one. Steve was the mean one. Yeah. Okay, point, right? What I would have done with that is, hey, Miss Desiree, it really sounds like you and Steven need to talk about this. I don't think we're all on the same page. Because I'm calling him out. I'm working with the good girl to talk to the bad guy because I'm making him the asshole keeping the deal from moving. It's that simple. We want to work in a mindset where we can get agreement. Or take it on yourself. Hey guys, I don't want to be the bad guy here and tell you what we need to do. I want to work together to come up with a win-win solution to how we get this deal done. You said you need $4,000 in closing costs. They're not willing to give that because the seller needs to net a certain amount. Are you willing to pay $4,000 more for the house? That way we can kind of roll those closing costs into the loan. No. Okay. What makes you say no? Well, we're not going to pay more than this house is worth. Well, you're really not. You're paying up front for something you're going to get back in the end. You're giving them $4,000 more so they turn around and give it back to you for your closing costs instead of you guys coming out of pocket. What's easier to do, a couple dollars a month or a $4,000 hit to your bank account? Well, Mr. Seller, or Mr. Buyer, I completely agree. I know you don't want to pay for more than the house is worth. Mrs. Buyer, I'm glad that you're on board with this. I think you see the value in there. We really need to discuss this. It really seems like the two of you kind of are off on the different page here. What can I do to help make this a win-win? Notice how we're playing the triangle back and forth. And then last, you say, I don't want to be the bad guy telling you what to do. I want to make it a win-win because ultimately it's all about you guys buying the house for your kids, right? Go back to motivation. Ultimately, it's about you guys getting a home that's closer to grandma so grandma can watch your kids. So you guys finally get your lives back. You can have a date night on Fridays again. How long are you willing to let that goal be out there when you can resolve it right now? So, big brain stuff. Big brain stuff.
Very much.
So we're gonna do some more real play on some stuff, but we're gonna skip through the real play is just kind of going back over the activities, the price terms, prepare, present. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So we're gonna skip a little bit of that just to go into employing the three P's and stuff because we're almost done with the course material. So now there's kind of the ad lib stuff. So what are you taking away from this right now that you really enjoy, and what do you need some more filtering on?
I'm realizing that probably Desiree as well too, but myself, I need more practice back and forth. We're going to have to definitely do some back and forth on the role play.
I will gladly role play with you guys if you want to. If you want to do a private role play together, say, hey, Dan, when you got some time, we'll put it on the calendar. We'll do it. And I'll work you guys through it. Any of you, even those who are watching the recording that aren't live. That's why I'm here. When I say I'm a negotiations expert, it's because I've been trained in it for 20 years. And it's not always about being the tough asshole that just gets the deal closed. Sometimes it's about being the lamb that baits the lion into the trap. It's not always your size and your stature that gets things done. Sometimes it's simple as much as making a friend and getting somebody to say something that slips up that you can use against them. I did used car sale, guys.
That's the ultimate negotiation skills right there.
I am.
You were that guy.
I'm good at being the hammer. But you don't need to be that way. It's all about understanding the responsibilities. Like Desiree and Steven, here's one for you. Hey, Steven, you remember when you guys got married and you're up there on the altar And she looked into
Yeah.
your eyes and you looked into hers, and the pastor stood there in front of you and said, through thickness and thin, sickness and health, wealth or poor, that you would do anything and everything in your power possible to make her happy. What changed?
How rude.
She met me.
I'm saying, but that's like, if I can anchor back to something that much, and because if like I said, if one party's fighting the other, what changed? Letha, remember how we got together a couple months back and you and I are discussing how you hated living at your mom's house? You absolutely despise the fact that she's got 93 cats. You're tired of the house smelling like piss. You just long for the time that you can sit on the couch and watch what you want to watch. What changed?
Nothing. I can taste it. It's so bad. I just.
Right? Anchoring back is one of the strongest things you can do. Miss Heather, we had talked about you selling your house and getting you guys back over to England. You love the culture. You love the community. You absolutely love the lifestyle that it was going to afford for you and your family and your kids. How long are you going to allow yourself not to be there?
Not long at all. Let's get me back.
Did that give you chills? It gave me some chills. Mr. Seller's agent, this is Mr. Buyer's agent. I see that you guys have had this house on the market for quite a while. My clients are still interested in it. How do we make this a win-win? Your sellers have a goal that they deserve to meet. If you were me, what would you write? Let's make this deal happen. Middle of a transaction, negotiations, Mr. Mrs., hey, this is Dan. I got an inspection report coming over to you soon. Check it out. A couple of things that stood out to us was this, this, and this. Have you had a discussion with your client about what repairs they're willing to make, if any? Oh, they're not going to make any repairs. Okay, great. They're willing to let the deal fall apart over something so minor as a sink leak? Good guy, bad guy, right? I'm making him the bad guy. Opposite side of it. Mr. Buyer's agent, you're telling me your client is willing to walk away from this deal over a piece of wood? Reduce the ridiculous. You're telling me that we're $700 away from making this deal work. Because, again, bringing it down to the scope. So how to make this a win-win? I've pushed my seller as far as they'll go. What can we get from the buyers? I'm not asking you guys to come all the way, but I'm asking for a little bit. I don't need you to drive all the way home. I just need you to meet me halfway. There's a great book called by Chris Voss. It's called Never Split the Difference. So it's counterintuitive to some of the things you've learned on negotiating by splitting the difference. We're at 200, you're at 210. Why don't we just meet in the middle at 205? That's weak. So Letha, you're telling me that your client's offering 205, we're at 210? Are they willing to walk away from this deal for something as little as $5,000? Shut up and listen, right? Another great tactic, become friends with the agent. Hey, Miss Letha, how's business going?
Oh, great. How's your business going, Dan?
Man, I couldn't be happier. It's been going fantastic. You guys getting a lot of views on that 123 Main Street?
Oh, we've had a couple interested parties. Sometimes I feel more like they're looky-loos than anything else.
Which is weird right now in the market. You would expect that the more buyers that are out there that are serious because they know you can't buy anything.
Location, location, location.
Isn't that the truth? So have you guys got any offers on it yet?
We have one. My seller's kind of trying to hold out because she really wants her price to be met, and they're just not quite there.
Okay. I mean, what's her price?
The offer, or
Yeah, what's your seller's bottom line?
it's a fixer upper, and we're at $49,000, and that's for what you're getting, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick home. It's the location that's holding me up, and they're, we've got a flipper out there trying to underbid us, but it's already rock bottom.
What's he offering?
Yeah, my seller prefers that I don't just divulge that information. We've had that conversation. So
Hey, I completely get it, but if I were able to bring you an offer that was higher than that, would that help your seller out?
oh, absolutely. The offer that she's looking for is the full price offer. So I would hope you could bring me that one. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see it.
That'd be awesome if I could. I mean, was she open to anything below that if it's close?
You know what? You send me over your offer and I'll talk to her about it and see if I can't help her to see the light.
Okay, great. Is it already paid off for her?
Again, I hate to divulge that information. That's her.
Oh no, it's completely fine. I'm just trying to make it a win-win scenario. If you were me, what would you do?
I'd throw that offer at me. Let me present it to my seller, and I'm sure I can negotiate with her and see what we can come up with. At least, show me where your client's at, and I can, see what kind of counteroffer I can get, and then we'll both have a better idea of how to move forward with this.
Right. I'm just trying to see what we can do to get your client happy on to the next steps. Where are they going now?
She's she's an elderly lady just trying to it's not like it's a forced sell. It's one of those situations. She just doesn't want her kids being stuck with the scenario of having to deal with it. So
Right. So this is kind of a doing it for the kids, getting rid of it so they don't have to kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Removing the burden.
Okay. Well, fantastic. So if we're a couple grand off a list, it sounds like we can make a deal work. I'll see if I can't get you that offer over shortly. All right.
That'd be great.
Thank you so much, Letha.
Thank you.
What'd you guys hear?
You're good. You're good.
What'd you
She
pick
gave
up?
you a lot. Yeah, she gave you a lot.
She tried not to, though. She did.
Yeah,
she
she
tried
did.
real damn hard not to.
She gave you most of it in the silence of what she didn't want to say is where she gave you everything.
Like I said, silence is the ticket. There's magic to be had in that silence. So, Letha, what did you do wrong?
Probably shouldn't have told you their situation.
You didn't give it back to him.
You told me the situation about
Yeah.
the family and she not wanting to deal with it. The key term "deal with it" lets me know that it is not emotional. It is 100% transactional.
Yeah.
She just wants to get rid of the damn thing. She doesn't care. You told me you
Right.
had another offer. The only other offer you had out there was from an investor trying to undercut you. And it seemed like quite a bit because the way you were responsive to it. You're telling me it's in a terrible location and you don't think that the price is right because of the location.
No, the price is more than reasonable because of the location, actually.
Even now you won't say the price is right. You just said reasonable.
I mean, $49,000 is a killer deal.
Well, you didn't say that. You said, well, the price is good for it's not in the best area.
It isn't. The
Even
location
after you said the price is reasonable, which let me know that you still don't subconsciously believe it's the best price.
I
Now,
would pick
you're
it up.
saying,
If I had $49,000, I would pick it up, and I would have my husband remodel it, and I'd put it back on the market for $85,000.
there you go. But that's the conviction you need to have when you're talking to buyers and other buyers agencies.
Okay.
But you notice how I pick apart your entire conversation, looking for key terms, not exactly what you say, it's what you don't say, how you say it, the words you choose to say, not just, it's a nice house, it's in a great area. You're like, it's a good home, Okay, what's wrong with it?
It's a good home.
The way that I hiccup, okay, what's wrong with it? What
It needs
what is
remodeling.
your
It needs
concern?
love.
So what's your, but notice how I was able to pick up all of that from a
Yeah.
friendly conversation.
Well,
But
it's
did you know I was fishing for all that information? You thought I was just asking you the questions that I was trying to get you to answer.
but you've got underlying agendas.
But what I was trying to do is find out the truth behind it all by how you answered the questions I gave you. I made you a friend real quick, checked on you. How you doing? How's life? Thank you so much for taking my call. There are agents like me out there, better than me. If you meet Josh Berkeley, he's one of them. He teaches his class sometimes. He's damn good, real damn good. I'm learning to be more like Josh. But it's all about having a conversation and creating a relationship, creating an environment where that information will just flow. It all
So,
starts with picking up the phone and saying, hey.
Did I violate like fiduciary duties by in any way whatsoever? I didn't. I mean, by telling them.
You didn't disclose any material facts.
Okay.
All you gave me as a trained observer is things to go in after. And I tried. I did. You blocked me. But I tried. But it gave me more insight than I would have had otherwise. Notice when they called me, hey, just, it's great. Your offer is very competitive with the rest of them. Go ahead and submit your best offer. Give your offer the best chance to win. I'll gladly submit it to my sellers.
It's hard to be the block wall that you are. I'm not built that way. Softer than that.
I'm very soft. I am, but the thing is, when it comes to negotiation, I understand that if you say one thing wrong, you can literally topple the entire pyramid. Words like must, need to, have to.
Right.
They're sharp in my head. The sellers have to sell this house in the next 30 days. The sellers would like to sell this house in the next 30 days.
Yeah.
The seller could be telling you, Dan, I need to sell this house tomorrow. We are in over our heads. They're going to foreclose. Tax sale has to be done by the end of January. No ifs, ands, or buts. Okay, great. Thank you so much for calling. I got an offer. Yeah, my sellers really would like to get the house sold before the end of January. So if you guys can accommodate that timeline, great. We look forward to seeing your offer.
You take the end of the world scenario out of it.
100%. Do not give the shark any bait. And some agents out there are sharks. They'll call you up and they'll ask questions. They'll get the bottom information. They'll find out and they'll give you the offer that works best for both. But it may not have been the best for your seller. It just works. Case in point, I sold a house last year. Friends I met on Facebook, right around the corner from my house, on the market for like 60 some days, 70 some days, 100 and some days total. In the market, they were selling like in 10 days. So I was like, okay, what's wrong with this house? My first thought, what's wrong with this house? We're walking through this house, 1,800 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, beautiful backyard, no HOA, like tits house. Priced at $210,000, $215,000. $210,000. No, 220. Sorry, 220. Priced at $220,000. My buyers needed $9,000 in closing costs. Needed. They had to buy down the rate to qualify. Needed $9,000 in closing costs. So if I were offering full price, that's essentially the seller netting $210,000. Well, we're in the house, we're walking around, and this guy shows up. Says he's the handyman. I was like, great. I introduced myself. He's got a key. He lets himself in. He says, hi, sorry to bug you. I'm here. I was like, great. I walk away and I go tell my client, I was like, hey, go find out if that's the seller. Typically, handymen don't have a key to the house and know exactly where things are. All big brain stuff. So they go in there and start talking to the guy, making friends with him. I can't do it. It's an ethics violation for me to talk to the other client. The wife comes over and tells me, I think it's the seller. I was like, great. Find out why it's been on the market so long. Find out if they got any offers on it. And I go do my thing while they're walking around talking to the seller. The seller tells them that his wife has got cancer. They're going through cancer treatments. She's too sick to deal with it. They need the money for the treatments. They've had multiple offers in the house that have fallen through because of this, that, or the other thing. They're terrified that they're not going to get an offer. And they just got an offer from Open Door for $202,000 that they're going to accept next week if they don't get an offer before then.
Wow.
$202,000, $18,000 off. I offered him 216. 216 nets him 205. $3,000 better than Open Door. He was ecstatic.
Yeah.
That house appraised for 232.
Nice.
So with their money down and the equity, they already got rid of their 20% PMI. Because the seller gave me all of that information. Had I been a typical douchebag agent, I'd offered 212. Because he would have netted 203.
Right.
But I gave him a little bit more because I knew I was being nice. And my clients were ecstatic. They got all the closing costs they needed, closing the timeline. Everything was flawless. The dude came in because they made friends with him. The dude came back and did a ton of repairs we didn't even ask for, and they closed on time. So it all starts with picking up the phone and having some conversations. So what ahas do we have from today?
A lot.
A lot. So, how has your thinking changed?
Watch out for sharks.
Yeah.
Watch out for sharks.
Negotiating isn't always just negotiating. Sometimes it's just asking the question and talking and asking the right ones. Definitely gonna have to have some practice when you're on the listing side or the buyer side when it comes to people trying to pull information out of you and turn it back on them at the same time as not being confrontational.
Right. It's a dance for sure. Desiree, how has your thinking changed?
Similar with Steven, I need to be more comfortable with the negotiations or just talking in general, so I'm not stumbling over, and make sure that for my top of mind is like the best interest of my client. So not divulging anything that might hurt their offers or getting their prices met. Just a lot of that. I don't know. It's a lot in my head right now.
Good. Heather, you've been through this class before. Twice, I think.
Well, this is my second time.
Yeah. So any changes in your thought processes?
Well, it's different because the last one was Josh doing it. So it's interesting to see the different tactics. It was just really interesting to watch you fishing for information, but like not even, it didn't look like you were fishing for information. You were just having a conversation.
It's the power of descripting. It's knowing how to ask questions that don't look like they're positioned.
Stop.
Wait, how about you? You know, the time you've learned on this, what kind of thoughts have popped up, or how do you look at things a little differently?
You're talking to Joseph?
Yeah, Joey.
You cut out there for a second. Okay. I guess the powerful language thing is it's just really interesting to me, the why, what, how, who thing. And then also, I guess the nobody wins if if you push a bargain too hard. Like nobody wins. Nobody gets keys. Nobody gets paid on the deal. The seller doesn't get paid. All that kind of stuff.
That's huge. That's a great realization. I mean, we oversee that sometimes, is we can push too hard in negotiations and then nobody wins. It's a lose-lose. Absolutely. Good point. So someone tell me, what do you feel differently about? Like Steven says, negotiations is not just the hard line negotiations, it's more of a conversation. You know, what was meaningful about that? Something just broke in my house. There's a daughter trying to play crab behind you, Desi.
You've seen that.
Yeah, she needs help.
Yeah, we'll be out of here, son. So let me ask, someone tell me how your behavior is going to change moving forward. Yeah, tell them to go away, Letha. You got to answer a question.
Go away. I'm really bad about giving away too much information, and I've got to practice not doing that.
Good. That's counter tactics, 100%. Understanding when somebody's fishing and knowing how to cut the line.
So on the seller side, on the fishing aspect, I have a question. Like, say from where Letha was, as long as she can just continually, even if it's not as successful as yours, but as long as she can keep just kind of just you have your clients give us an offer, we'll look it over, do the best you can for your client, and we'll see if we can work something. If she would have just continually basically repeated something calming like that, would that, for now until we get better, that would be a good practice? No.
Oh, absolutely. It'll like give it a shot, Stephen.
What do you mean?
Hey, Stephen, thank you so much for taking my call. How's things going on that listing you guys have on 123 Main Street?
It's going really good.
That's awesome. What deals are you guys negotiating right now?
We have a couple of people who want to negotiate with us. We're in the middle of it.
What's the highest price?
Right at the asking price.
Okay. So if I come over above asking price, I'm going to win?
You can do the best you can for your client. Send me the offer of, huh? What?
You already gave too much.
I know. I said shit, but nobody heard me.
I didn't that, but you, that's the thing is my client was going to offer 10,000 over. Now I'm only 5,000 over. I'm going to win this deal. So again, what kind of offers you guys, what offers you guys negotiating currently? Back to you, Stephen.
I don't know.
You answered
I'm
well.
confused.
We have a few offers that we're negotiating.
Okay.
So you did well with that.
So I should have just stopped at that. We have a few offers we're negotiating.
Yeah. What's the highest price?
Give me some
Here's your line.
recommendations. Huh?
There's a couple that are real aggressive.
Give me some if you would. I don't know what to say without giving away too much information.
That's it. Hey, what offers you guys negotiating? There's a couple that are real aggressive.
Oh, okay. I see. There's a couple that are real aggressive.
Okay. How much?
There's a couple that are real aggressive.
Okay. Great. So, hey, we're thinking about submitting an offer to you, and what's important to your seller?
Definitely the asking price. No,
Okay.
that's not good either because you just told me your people were going to ask over asking price.
Just say what's important to them. Like asking price is the purchase price. So what's important to them? Purchase price.
Okay.
So they don't care about timelines and stuff like that. So when you're asking someone, says, hey, what's important to you about your client? What's important to the sellers? To get the house sold.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
To get the house sold. Okay. Are they looking to, do they need a fast close or a slow close?
They'd like a fast close, but they're willing to wait. We're just waiting for the perfect offer.
Perfect. And what does a perfect offer look like?
To get the house sold.
A real good reason to say yes. So what's a perfect offer look like?
Well, a real good reason to say yes.
Okay. Well, fantastic. So, I mean, do they need extra time to respond to the offer, or you guys currently have to respond to anything that's out there right now?
I don't know.
You almost question every question because you're like, okay, how am I going to step on a landmine here? I've already shown my cards. You already know what I'm good at. So now you're like, shit, I'm not going to answer anything.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, you got some time to submit an offer. If your client would like to submit an offer, just give it the best chance to win.
Okay.
So Stephen, I appreciate you giving that so much information so far. And, do you guys have to respond to the other offers anytime soon?
You can just put your offer in there. We're still looking over everything. You're welcome to just send the offer in and I'll pass it on to my client.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, hey, Stephen, thank you so much for your time. I'll let you know when I send that offer over.
Okay, sounds good. We'll hear from you.
So see how the conversation kind of flowed still, but you didn't give anything away.
True.
So, hey, thank you so much for your call. Yeah, we have a few offers on the table that we're negotiating currently. Yeah, there's a couple that are real aggressive. Well, I can't tell you that. Yep. If it were me, I would just give my clients a real good reason to say yes. A perfect offer, just the same. This is a real good reason to say yes. Timeline, it really depends on the offer. They're pretty flexible, but they're just like anything. The sooner the better. Maybe just for you and I. I'd love to see your offer. Just have your client send it in.
Okay.
Notice how you can say it in a friendly manner and banter back and forth without being like, I can't tell you that. Doesn't matter. Purchase price. Sell the house. So good stuff, guys. Hey, it is 11:46. You have 15 minutes to go make some phone calls before your time frame is up. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I have one more. Me and Desi, sorry about, we lack on showing up for the scripts class. Even after Ignite ends this week, the scripts class will still be there, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I just want to make
Scripts is
sure.
ongoing forever.
Good. I just want to make sure because it's something we definitely need to join in on.
Yeah, Leaf is on it every now and again. So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You like it.
Yeah, I really want to do it, especially after today. It shows me I'm good at asking questions, but when it comes to until I can get completely comfortable and I have those key phrases of how to redirect, it's I definitely need some practice.
Verbal Jiu-Jitsu. It's a great book.
I was really good in the restaurants, but I was comfortable in restaurants. Did it for years.
We learn how to be comfortable. We learn how to grow and develop. So it's a learned habit to be comfortable asking very difficult questions. What happens when they don't sell you the house? What happens when it burns down? What happens this? Like questions you really don't want the answer to. But you need to have that in order to be able to position yourself forward and then come from grace. My dad always taught me to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And that's a great tutelage that I've used in many of my businesses and all my negotiations is we prepare for the worst. I tell my clients a worst case scenario. I overshare the absolute worst possible scenario. Make sure they're okay with it. And then get them better than that. Best case, and you sell best case and you come up short, you look like an asshole.
Right.
But if you are doing everything that you can to get them above worst case, under promise, over deliver. It's a palpable way of getting things handled. But get in there, look at your documents, understand them, because part of your presentation is needing to be a document expert. You need to know them inside and out. So, awesome, guys. We'll get to work. We'll talk soon. I'll see you all in the morning, 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
First call, if you want to.
Thank you.